YouTube friends, and welcome back to the kitchen for another episode of Cooking in the Kitchen with Mommy Milestones. If you're new to the channel, we do everything frugal we possibly can in and out of the house. So today's episode we are making homemade pizza. My pizza recipe has changed. For quite some time now I've been doing a yeast raised pizza dough, and we've learned we really like it for economical reasons. We're not buying a box mix of anything. I used to use Jiffy Mix in the past. I could not work with yeast. I had the worst time with yeast. I took cooking classes in high school and I just could not make anything yeast raised. So I learned the trick. I buy instant yeast. So today I'm trying a new yeast that I've never tried before. This is called Safe Instant or SAF Instant, and you can use pizza yeast for this, and I have used Fleischmann's Rapid Rise yeast in the past. I went to Gordon's Food Services today. This is the only instant yeast that they had. They also had a 2-pound package for $6.80. So I will write in the description my pizza dough recipe. So right now I've got all my dry ingredients mixed in the bowl, and I am adding the oil and the water. In the bowl already is yeast, sugar, salt, and flour. Very, very simple recipe. Even your beginners can do this. So I am making enough dough to do 3 pizzas, and I quit using pizza pans a long time ago. I had some special pizza pans by Airbake, and they had holes in them. So you had to roll it out on the counter or make your round shape on the counter and then transfer it. I didn't like to do that. I like to press it into place, which my hands and my wrists are getting a little older, and sometimes that's hard. Maybe I'll go back to rolling my dough eventually. Not now. So with your water, you want to make sure you use hot to warm water. Hotter than warm, but not so boiling hot. That activates the yeast, and the sugar helps feed the yeast. Baby's right by me. If you've known our family, little baby turned a year old. He's hanging out. He had a snack. He was fussing. Now he's climbing on top of the toys. So I apologize for that. If I need to, I'll repeat. I'll edit out what I can. So first I mix the dry ingredients so that they're all incorporated together. The heavier items tend to fall to the bottom. So I add my oil and my water, and I prefer to use olive oil or sunflower oil. You can use whichever oil best suits your family and your budget. So when I first mix it, the wet and the dry ingredients, it was suggested to me many, many years ago, mix it for a while, like up to 2 minutes. Now, I'm using my KitchenAid mixer bowl. You can do this with your dough hook right on the KitchenAid mixer. That is fine. I have found that you still have to mix your dry ingredients with the fork, and the later part, the kneading, can be skipped out. It's important, I think, to know how to knead by hand. So if you're interested in that, I'll show that in the video too, and just kind of put it on fast forward. Maybe I'll talk to you. What do you prefer? So these wet ingredients are nice and incorporated. So now I just add a cup of flour at a time. Now my total recipe is about 2.5 cups per pizza, but I am doubling and tripling quite often my full recipe. So, and I'm mixing with a fork. I don't like it with a wooden spoon like my mom used to do. I just like the feel of it. And I think the key to having the pizza dough turn out right is having the feel for it. If it's too wet, you know, you're not going to be able to use your hands with it. And that was the thing that I didn't like with my Jiffy Mix, that it was too dry. So until I had tried a different brand where it added oil, that was the secret to that pizza crust, was adding oil at the end and letting it set for 5 minutes instead of working it quickly into the shape of the pizza dough. So as you add more flour, it gets less sticky. I don't want to giant ball of dough on my counter, with flour or without. If you have a wooden cutting board, it's really nice to knead your dough on that. I find I like to do just on the countertop because then it's not sliding around as I'm working the dough and kneading the dough. One of George's favorite hobbies is unloading my pots and pans cabinet. So it might get a little noisy right now. He's here. Here's little guy. He's getting out his tools. So when you knead your dough, it is best to have a little bit of flour on the surface, and I just keep the flour open next to me, and I just keep adding flour until it just feels right. If it's too sticky, it's just not quite right. Basically, if it is sticky enough to pick up flour, I just keep adding a little more flour at a time. So I make a little pile of flour on the counter in front of me, and I clean out the bowl. To change the focus off of my face down to the counter so you can see how I knead dough. If you haven't had a lesson in kneading dough, I think it's important to kind of know how to do it to make your dough turn out correctly. Okay, so I added a little bit of flour to the counter, and how I knead the dough is I roll it towards me and push. I roll it over and I push, and I just keep giving it a quarter turn and pushing away from me every time. And every time I do that, it's picking up a little bit of that flour on the counter and incorporating it into my ball of dough. Now, there's no magical number for how many minutes you should knead the dough. But if you overwork it, it gets tough. At the same time, while I'm doing this, it's picking up the flour off of the counter. So when I'm all done, I like to clean up the counter. I actually picked something up in my dough there. Make sure, if you have small children, that their toys are put away and not on the counter. Start with a clean washed counter. You don't want to be picking up bacteria and germs or Legos. I've picked up Legos in the past. Push, pull. Push, pull. Push, pull. I took cooking class in middle school and in high school, and it was one of those elective courses. Our public school also did sewing for part of their home economics. All those skills were dropped off, and the school slowly started dropping everything. So I wouldn't say I have the best sewing skills, but I learned a bit, and my mom sewed. And I think any man or woman should be able to make a homemade pizza to feed themselves instead of having to order out all the time. Our local pizza shop is about $23 for one pizza, one large pizza. Another pizza shop we like to use for one large pizza, it's only about $13, so we like to use them when we can, but it's so salty. So making the homemade pizza, we really learned that we could control how much salt we were having in any of our ingredients. So see that nice ball? It's nice and firm. It's picked up all my excess dough, all my excess flour. Try to clean up anything I can, because then I'm not wasting it or gunking up my wash rag with it. Okay, so now to let this rise, you want to put it in an oiled bowl. So I just like to use vegetable oil spray, olive oil spray, anything like that. It's strong stuff. And drop it in the bowl. And I also spray the top of it to make sure that as it rises, it doesn't stick. So you're gonna wanna let this bowl set covered for a few minutes. So you're gonna wanna let this bowl set for just a few minutes, and as it rises, it's going to double in size. When it has doubled in size, then we will cut it into how many pieces we need for pizza. So today I'm doing 3 pizzas and possibly a side of breadsticks. It just kind of depends on how big I want the pizzas in the end, and if I've kind of lost track of time cleaning up. So while this is rising, generally I will prep the other items for the pizza. So today we're going to have cheesy pepperoni pizza, we're going to have sausage pineapple pizza, and maybe a few other toppings. So let's see what we have on hand today. Okay, so today I have found we have some fresh mushrooms, and we've got some pineapple, some fresh mozzarella cheese, and pepperoni, and ground sausage. Yum, yum. This is going to be delicious. You can chop, cut, or dice your vegetables or fruit to however you like it. You can use canned mushrooms if you like. That's always nice to have on hand so that you don't have to run out to buy ingredients for pizza night. However, I'm after a low salt version. So since I'm after the least amount of salt or preservatives, I like to do fresh whenever I can. So we're just cutting up a few of these large mushrooms, and you can use any variety of mushrooms you like. Our store was so picked over today. That's what you get with Saturday afternoon shopping. So that's a nice respectable amount of mushrooms for one pizza. And let's see if we've got some onion. Okay, so my onion is all used up today, and that is fine. You can add green pepper, anything you want. Okay, so I just use regular cookie sheets for my pizza now because I found that that works best for me. Sometimes we make square pizza or oval pizza. It just really doesn't matter thereafter the taste. One of my sons really likes round pizza. He likes those perfect triangles. He doesn't want a rectangle pizza cut into squares. To each his own, right? Okay, so let's see how this dough is doing. Pretty decent sized. So I'm going to just turn it out onto the countertop. And you can cut it however you want. I use my pastry cutter. And I cut it into thirds. Generally, I make one a little bit bigger than the other because I'm using a rectangle pan. And that's my square pizza for Mom and Dad. Since the kids like it round, it's just easier that way. So I just kind of fold over the triangles to start it round, and this really helps a lot with pressing it into place. Now at this point, you could roll it out with the or you could roll it out with your rolling pin, or just press it into shape. So I find it really helpful to just kind of use my thumbs to coax it into that round shape in advance of placing it on the pan. So the oven is warming up right now to 425 degrees. Some people like 450. I asked the pizza shop, they cook their pizzas at like 525 degrees. That's how they can get them to you so fast. My completed pizza generally takes about 12 minutes in the oven at 425 degrees. So I've got all of my toppings prepped. I want to tell you a couple secret ingredients to having a pizza flavor that turns out well is I use garlic powder and Italian seasoning as one of the toppings after I add the cheese. Sometimes I forget and I have to put it on top of all the other ingredients. It really seems to flavor best right after the cheese. Now I just use the palm of my hand going from the center of the crust out until it's the size pizza I want. If you like a thicker crust, don't press it out so far. Now, if you're a fan of pizza crust, you can fold over the edge at this point. You can brush it with oil, you can brush it with butter and flavor it if you like. No one in this family is a real big of crust. They're after the entire pizza. So I don't fold over the edges or anything. And one of the key things to know is to pre-cook this dough. I find it really makes a big difference just to get it slightly golden so that it's not so doughy. I have done it both ways, and we just prefer it this way because otherwise it's just kind of too soft and then it doesn't cook so evenly. So I'll put this in the oven 5 minutes or so, just kind of while I'm pressing the dough on the other pans and just kind of keeping an eye on it.
Okay, so now that our pizza crust is all done, we are going to go ahead and sauce it. Now this isn't golden brown, it's just slightly cooked. It was probably in the oven for about 5 minutes, but if you heard that beep just now, my oven just got to temperature. There's no point in wasting that electricity. I let the dough sit in there as it's warming up. Usually I have it preheated. This time, in the frenzy of making a video, of course, I forgot to turn it on to preheat the oven. Now you can make your crust as saucy as you like it. My guys don't like it terribly saucy, and I just like to use the back of a standard tablespoon to spread it out. I find it's a really good way to get an even sauce all over the entire crust. Now, here is where you want to add your secret ingredients. Not so secret, Italian seasoning. Not basil, not oregano. It's a mix. This is actually McCormick's Perfect Pinch Italian seasoning. This is available at my local supermarket. It's about $5 a bottle. I actually found it previously at the dollar store. The trouble with the dollar store items is they're usually right about to expire. Nice coating of some garlic powder adds a nice flavor to it. And you can use whatever cheese you like. I've heard of goat cheese, all kinds. And you can do it as heavy or as light as you like. My family is a huge fan of cheese. And this first pizza, I always make the first pizza the kids' pizza because they are hungry. They were champs while we were out grocery shopping today, and they deserve some good, yummy pizza. Tonight is pizza and a movie night for us. Last night, they had some popcorn for a snack. And those are some regular treats in our house so that we don't have to go out to the movies or go out to the pizza shop. Occasionally we'll go out to the pizza shop, but 20, 30 bucks later, and all that salt, the next day we are usually dying of thirst. And you can use whatever toppings you like. I will tell you a little trick. This is not a paid plug for anything, and I don't have it right now. Boar's Head pepperoni at your deli is really good. The trouble is it comes in like a 2-inch circle, and my one child who's fussy that way doesn't want that. So my pizza is now all ready to go into the oven, and my second crust is ready to come out. So I'm going to pull it out and swap them. So I've set my timer now for 12 minutes, and I'll just kind of keep an eye on it and see how it does. 1 can of sauce usually will do 2 to 3 pizzas depending on the size and how saucy we want them. And every time I make the recipe, it's always a little different. It just kind of depends on what flour I'm using. So you can use your regular store brand flour if you like. I have found we really like one particular brand, and it is unbleached and unbromated. I don't need anything extra in my body that's not natural as possible. We also found we really like Colby Jack cheese on the pizza, and occasionally when we have run low, I will add a little bit of cheddar cheese also. Tremendously with your calories and your fat intake if you blot your meat or set it in a paper towel to drain. That is super good for you. Kudos to you. I learned a long time ago that if you just blot your pizza to get off some of that excess grease, you're doing yourself a great service to your health by removing that instead of eating it. Now this is going to be pepperoni and sausage, so I don't want to put the pepperoni on too heavily. This is quote unquote the grown-up pizza. Sometimes we do just pepperoni and pineapple, and that's real tasty. You can do different kinds of mushrooms, artichokes, spinach, anything you like on your pizza. Locally, we've got some pizza shops that do a barbecue chicken sandwich, pulled pork. This is going to taste so good. I love ground sausage. I'm gonna just top some mushrooms on it. If your family is finicky, you can do a pizza half and half. And then there's the classic just plain cheese pizza for little Kevin. That's for Home Alone. Little Kevin wanted a cheese pizza and ended up getting in a fight and getting sent to his room up in the attic and missing the family leaving, and got left home alone for Christmas. So this is just some canned pineapple. And now this one is ready to go in the oven. Looking very, very good. The pan's a little warm for me. Looking very, very good here. So here is perfect pizza number 1. Now, if you are curious about my pizza pan, I used to use just sprayed on oil or wiping on oil, and I switched to canned spray recently, and this burnt on spray does not scrub off of my pan. And I bought stainless steel Torboy scrubbers. I've used SOS pads. The only thing that will clean them off is putting these in my oven with oven cleaner when I clean the oven to get them all brand new clean again. This pan is not that old. That spray is collecting on my pans all around. You can see where the original crust went out and how it shrunk in to the many different times of making pizza. That's just how it turns out. So I'm going to get this cut and get the guys fed. You can cut your pieces. You can cut your pieces into large or small, 6, 8, 10 pieces, whatever you like. I just find with using a cookie sheet. Generally about 8 pieces works out really well. Keeps everybody happy and satisfied. So there is pizza number 1, beautiful, delicious, ready to go. Okay, here is pizza number 2, and I will tell you a little trick that my kids really like. There is a pizza shop that we used to frequent. The secret was Parmesan cheese, and they also had red peppers. My kids love to sprinkle a little bit of tasty Parmesan cheese on their pizza. Let's go check on pizza number 3. Whoop, go away. This little guy likes to get too close to the oven all the time. So we have found out that our oven lock does not work when the oven is on. It only works when the oven is powered to off. So we have to really watch this guy while we're cooking, huh? Yes. Hi, George. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. I'll cut you up a little pizza, too. George, you want some pizza? Yum, yum. Here is pizza number 3. Mushrooms, pineapple, pepperoni, and ground sausage. So, what do you like on your pizza? I'm going to sit down and eat mine. And today, I'm going to have a nice cold glass of milk with it. I tell you all that grocery shopping today made me hungry and thirsty. Another thing I really like to have with it is a cold glass of maple soda. Have you ever had maple soda? If you have, put it in the comments below, because I had never heard of it until recently. I found out from making maple syrup ourselves that you mix up club soda with a little bit of maple syrup, and it is so tasty. If you like this recipe, hit a thumbs up button, ask me questions, and I'll help you any way you can. If your pizza did not turn out right, we'll solve the problem together. We'll see y'all next time, everybody, and remember to keep on watching. Hit that notification bell so that you know when the next video comes out. Bye-bye.